Hey everyone, I'm weighing myself here on October 27th, day 80, coming in at just under 185 pounds. Not as heavy as I'd like to be, but I'll take it. I'm going to show 3 different workouts I've done over the past week, starting with a pull day on day 75. On my pull days, I alternate between deadlifts and these heavy barbell rows. This was a rowing day, so I've loaded 255 pounds here for 4 sets of 10. As you'll see, I'm using some momentum. That's intentional. The momentum lets me load more weight and more closely mimics a deadlift. Next up, we have pull-ups. I was pretty fatigued on this day, so you'll see some kicking. And then chin-ups, neutral grip, first set of a 4x10, hitting more of the bicep and inner back with this grip. Towards the end, there's a little bit of rest in between the reps. Okay, next up, more rows, but I'm doing one-arm dumbbell rows this time, which is a newer exercise for me. I like to bring that dumbbell almost to the floor, get a nice squeeze at the top, switching arms here. 60 pounds, 4 sets of 10. And you can see my back is almost parallel to the floor. All right, last movement of the day, seated row machine, 150 pounds, 4 sets of 10. As I increase the weight, the form gets a bit sloppier, using more momentum. That's fine. The goal isn't as much to isolate muscle groups like a bodybuilder, but rather I'm focused on progressive overloading and generating power in these movements. Okay, on to day 77, a leg day. Starting out with goblet squats. I've worked up to the heaviest dumbbell I could find in the gym. It's 115 pounds, which is a decent amount of weight for this movement for 25 reps. And it's a great core workout. You've got to keep that dumbbell out in front of you and stay upright. All right, next up we have good mornings. I am using a safety bar this time. The safety bar puts less pressure on the lumbar spine because of how the weight is loaded. Also, if you have shoulder or wrist mobility limitations, it can be helpful since it requires less flexibility there. It's popular with athletes. I see a lot of football players using these. Also, the safety bar itself weighs 65 pounds. Okay, split squats with 50-pound dumbbells for 4x10, isolating each of those legs, exposing any imbalances that I might have. I always find it's tougher to balance on my right leg than my left. Okay, lastly we have vertical jumps. I've been alternating between these jumps and the hip thrust machine on my leg days. Remember, the deadlift starts with a leg drive, so this helps with explosive power off the floor. Okay, on to day 80 here, showing my deadlift warm-ups. This day was a grind. I was basically pushing to max exertion, and that's not something I recommend doing. or if you are going to do it, to do so sparingly, because that's when your risk of injury is highest. And I did experience some knee pain during these deadlifts because I have to push off the floor. That's really my only injury that does inhibit me to some degree. But yeah, just decided to grind through it. I'm getting towards the end of my prep here, and powerlifting is not pain-free, not if you're trying to push your limits. That's just the reality with every sport. So you have to assess the risk and decide what you're willing to tolerate, like anything else in life. For these deadlifts, I'm using a Texas deadlift bar, which is narrower and has more flex, so you can see the bar bend more than a stiff bar does. It's still 20 kilograms. I also forgot my mouth guard on this day. The mouth guard's nice because I can clench my jaw without damaging my teeth, and that lets me exert more force. Without that, I wasn't able to clench, and that does make a difference when you get up to maximal loads. All right, so here are my top sets. I did 485 pounds for 5 sets of 3. And you can see how slowly that first set is moving. And I had 4 more after this one. And here's the 5th set that I wanted to show as well. And yeah, you can see that bar speed really starts to slow down. Okay, next up, deficit deadlift, 180 kg, 397 pounds. This is the first set of a 3x3. As I've said before, my sticking point with the deadlift is getting the weight off the floor. And these deficit deadlifts are helpful for that by forcing you to start at a lower starting position and increase the range of motion. Okay, speed deadlifts, 140 kg, 309 pounds. This is the first set of a 3x3. Trying to get that barbell up as quickly as possible. Next up, we have pull-ups, first set of a 4x10. And you can see the pull-ups were a bit more effortless than the ones I did a few days before. And lastly, seated row machine, 150 pounds for 4 sets of 10. And that's the full workout. I will see you all next time.